Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Evil Safety Dudes. I am your host, Mr. Aaron Iacino, the Director of Risk Management for IBC. And this is our podcast where we get to talk about everything that has to do with risk. If it's a risk in combat sports, if it's a risk to somebody at home, to on the job, to a people group, to a nation, we're going to talk about it on this show. And this is episode 203. As always, everybody, please remember to like, rate, subscribe, share, and leave a positive review wherever you're listening or watching our podcast from. And remember to jump on over to our brand new YouTube page so you can see us as well as hear us at the Aaron Iacino channel. All right, I'm excited. I'm going to jump right into our guest. I have on the line today Mr. Grover Wiley. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska, not too far from me. I'm only about 90 miles north of you. I was actually just down at your gym a couple weekends ago. You were gracious enough to let us use it to get a bunch of pros together around the same weight and go at it and get some good looks, get some good sparring in, get everybody ready for the fight. So thank you for that. That was a good time.
You're welcome, man. I think it benefited everybody. So
Yeah, for sure.
Good day. It was a great day of sparring. So a lot of action.
Yeah, and when I was down there, I was thinking, man, I got to get Grover on the show because you got some of just the best stories ever, and I wanted to get those, on record and just get other people to hear them, and so let's jump right in, man. So a lot of those of you guys who don't know Grover, he professional boxer who's competed at some of the highest levels in sport, some of the big name Spartan partners, and fought some of the biggest names ever in boxing. So I don't even know where to start, but let's start with some of your big name opponents. Can you name a couple of those guys?
There was a Homer Gibbons. It was big time. He had more knockouts than I had wins when I fought him. We've got Julio Cesar Chavez and Chavez Jr.
Whoa.
Yep. So Saeed Ali was a good one. Fought him out in Florida. So yeah, I think, but of course, by far the most well known is Julio Cesar Chavez.
Let's talk about that. What weight did you guys compete at?
I fought him. I think we were at 147.
Nice.
147. He was on the end of his career, and he was kind of going around making his adios tour, and they called us in the last minute. I think we had 2 weeks to train, and I got lucky and was training for another opponent. I know that when I got there, they had another opponent for Chavez, and they paid him and released him out of his contract and brought me. So they probably thought I was going to be an easier fight for him. I was having
they were wrong, weren't they?
Oh yeah, they were wrong. I was having a tough time making weight because I'd ballooned up, and so I was stuck in a lot of weight. So I think they thought that was going to be the go-to, but it didn't work out the best for them.
So what's that like? You're training, and so you're active, you're being active, and then you get a call, and they're like, "Hey, man, we want you to fight Julio Cesar Chavez."
Well, and I jumped right on it because, like I said, I was training for. I'd retired or I was done. I couldn't get the fights I wanted at 140 pounds anymore, which we barely could ever get them because I was dangerous at 140. But when I moved to 147 to welterweight, I didn't have the power that I did. I'm not Terrence Crawford. I don't keep my power. The heavier I go, you know what I mean. The heavier he gets, the more people he knocks out. It's unbelievable. Where me, I lost my punching power at 147. So anyways, I couldn't get the fights at 140. I was dangerous. I wasn't signed with anybody. So an opponent, they want somebody to come in and not be able to beat their guy,
Right.
And I think I was the guy that maybe could get him on a great day. So we moved to 47, and then I'd retired, and then they called me about the Chavez fight because we had we had negotiated one other time and it didn't work out right. And I was getting ready for a local guy that was calling me out, you know, once I retired.
Okay.
And I was like, well, shoot, let me get back in shape. I'll give it one more run. Well, then they called me about the Chavez fight, and I think I had 2 weeks actually, and
Man,
that whole 2 weeks was just losing weight. So
right.
you know, then we get there, and that was the biggest fight that I'd ever been in. I mean, it was in Phoenix at the Mayor West Arenas where the Phoenix Suns play. So the press conference was as big as the fight was. So that you know, and I'm stuck in weight, so I haven't eaten in days. I haven't drank
Dang.
water in days.
Oh
I mean,
no.
I'm completely to the end, you know, and I'm sitting up there and there's thousands of people at the weigh-ins and my heart's just beating, you know, just racing. I've sucked so much weight.
So you got this huge press conference. There's thousands of people there. You're starving. You're dehydrated, and then they shove a mic in your face and say, "Hey, say something nice."
Yeah. And then, yeah. And I just, you know, I tell them, you know, I come to fight. I know you guys are thinking I'm going to lay down, but, you know, be ready. So then I get on the scale and I think I'm a quarter pound heavy. And I
Okay.
just told them, and I says, sorry, fellas, there'll be, because they're like, okay, you got this amount of time to lose the weight. And I just told them, sorry, fellas, there'll be no losing weight. So you bought me a round trip ticket and I'll easily go home as lose another quarter. I had nothing left to lose. I sucked down. And then he shook my hand and then took his left hand like a body shot and just touched. He wanted to see how soft I was. He said, oh, it's okay, Widow. And then they made the fight. And so during that press conference, they've got, I don't know if you've ever seen Chavez has, they have a DVD out of his greatest knockouts, right?
Okay.
And as a kid, that's all I watched. I tried to mimic everything he did. So
Wow.
going into the fight, I didn't realize I knew everything he was going to do until, well, I knew it in my
Crazy.
mind, but once we started fighting, it was coming in slow motion. So I'm catching and then counting. The first round I was scared to death, of course, you know. And then Bo Mack, who is Terrence Crawford's trainer, and my trainer, who is Terrence Crawford's trainer, who's passed away. So they're telling me, you know, they're like, don't freeze, don't freeze. I didn't throw any punches that first round. And then the second round, you know, my trainer told me he's like, if you don't throw any punches when you come back for the second round, I won't be in here. You'll be a spit bucket. That's it, you know. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I get out there and he's throwing punches and I just start catching and countering. And then it just all kind of fell into place after that. But it was kind of crazy because all the times I watched his video, everything was coming at me just like that. So all the things I
Uh,
pictured I was going to do, I did, and I hit him with some really good body shots in the fifth round. And he sat on the stool and they didn't come back out that fifth round. So
wow.
it was, yeah, it was crazy. But coming out, there's, you know, there's thousands and thousands of people and they're, you know, so when he didn't come out for the next round, people went crazy and they're throwing things in the ring and I'm walking around with my hand up and my trainer's like, let's get out of the, you know, they had a police escort because we think they're mad at us and they're not. We find out later on they're mad because he quit on the stool and didn't
Right.
go out, you know. But then they came up with a deal that he had hurt his hand, so he couldn't go any further, you know. Which, you
Right.
know, who knows to believe him or not. But I know they were. That's why I thought they were mad at me. So we're getting out of there. We got the police escort, and then we got
Wow.
somebody that car picks us up out back, and boom, we're out. You know, back to our hotel. It was crazy.
Yeah, people don't realize that, when you're the out of town guy and you're coming in to fight the hometown guy, all the booze, all the trash talk,
Yeah.
sometimes threats, like people like they just see it
Throwing
on
stuff
TV.
at you.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't know the psychological side
Yeah.
of the B side of the out of town guy, and that's weighing on you. We like to own that. We're B side all the time because there's not a lot of fights in Sioux City, so we're always going somewhere else to fight. We're always the disadvantage, so
That's
we always tell each other, let's go make the crowd mad today.
Yep, that's how I was, man. I always got booed, but usually by the second or third round, I could change them to cheering for
Nice.
me, you know. So that was always
Yeah.
our thing, you know. But they throw things at you, and then sometimes you couldn't get them to cheer for you. but a lot of times, I was a more of an aggressive body puncher, slick, so people like that. And then a lot of times I could get them to start cheering for me, but then sometimes there's no hope. You got to get out of there before they hit you with the bottle, or they throw
Right.
something at you. Oh yeah, it was always that dangerous territory. You're like behind enemy lines.
For sure. So while we're talking about Julio Cesar Chavez, then how many years later was it that you fought his son? And before we go there, I that's crazy. I didn't know the part of the story where you were already retired when you fought Chavez.
Oh yeah,
That's
yep.
way
I was
interesting tidbit.
Yep, I was done. I was done. I couldn't get those 140-pound fights, and that's where I wanted to be at. So then, then I started eating and stayed away from the gym for a while and blew up. I think I was 180 pounds when
Dang.
when they called, or when I
Wow.
started back, and I'd lost a bunch of weight, and then I still had, I think I had like geez, I think I had over 20 pounds to lose in those 2 weeks. So I lost
Wow.
a ridiculous amount of weight. And then,
Wow.
but that's just being, feeling sorry for myself and not getting
Right.
the mind frame that I have now. It was a totally different time period. But then, yeah. So then once I beat him, now it's like I got shot back into the circuit. You know what I mean? And now
Right.
I got I go so I moved to Florida, right? I moved to Florida and I end up being Saeed Owali's sparring partner, and Panama
Wow.
Lewis is training him, right? And I'm beating him up every day. He's got like two different sparring or three, he had three different sparring partners. So I would always be the last sparring partner because of my style. I put pressure and lots of body shots. So they put me in there when he was tired, and I would beat him up. Well, then he started knocking out his other sparring partners, and I'm getting paid more money for sparring than I'm making in a week's worth of work at home. And
Right.
I'm like, hey, because they're like, well, he's knocking these guys out. What do you know? I said, what are you talking about? I'll fill in. I said, I'll fill in those rounds, and you want to fill in? So they throw me in, and now I'm making triple the money because he'd knock one guy out. I jump in, beat him up for those rounds. They'd pull me out. Then he'd put another sparring partner in. He'd knock him out. Then I'd fill in and take his rounds, and then I'd take
Wow.
mine at the end because I got in great shape out there, man. I got in great shape in Florida, and then I end up fighting him and lost a 10-round decision, which of course
Whoa.
I fought him in Pompano Beach, Florida. It was the main event, and he beat me in 10 rounds. And of course, you can't win. All the money's on him. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we thought at the least we would get a draw. And they ended up giving him a lopsided unanimous decision. So then they called for the Chavez fight, and we'd been trying to make the Chavez fight. We signed at 140 pounds to begin with,
The
right?
the the
140
Chavez
pounds.
Jr.
Chavez Jr., yep, 140 pounds. By the time we fought, he got a growth spurt, and we ended up fighting at 154 pounds. I was
Whoa.
soaking wet, ate on the way to weigh-ins so I could weigh 147 pounds. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
he was huge, and I had Terrence Crawford was in the corner with me, and we went in to meet, to square off. And as I came back, Bud says, "Oh my God, do you see how big his legs are?" And I was like, "Get out of my corner!" I tell him how big he is. You know what I mean? I weighed in next to him. I watched him wear plastics for 2 weeks. He could barely make 154 pounds. I
Wow.
had to eat to make 147. That's what
Dang.
how difference it was. Yeah. So the night
Yeah.
he was just huge. But
That's the game. That's how they do it. They want to
yep,
they want to bring in someone smaller and make them go up and make their
yep.
fighter come down. And by the fight day, you got David and Goliath. That's
Oh
how it
yeah,
always is. Yeah.
how it always is. Always like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But that's how they build that guy. They build the one they got the money behind.
Yeah.
They put you in the fights that are it's tough to win. But sometimes you win. But then what happens when you win? Now you fight the next monster at 154. It's just that you shouldn't have won the first one. Now you got to fight the next one.
Yeah.
So it's a catch 22.
Yeah. It's a tough sport for sure. So you were
Oh,
mentioning
yeah.
Bud Crawford. So how did you two meet?
Oh, in the gym. He was in the gym. He was my trainer kicked him out of the gym when he was, I think he was 8 or 9. He was a bully. He was just mean, taking people's stuff, and he wouldn't steal it. He would just take it. You know what I mean? And then if they didn't like it, he would say, "Okay, beat me up, and you can have it back." You know, he was just a
Wow.
little kid. I mean, he was just a little pit bull. So then we kicked him out, and then he tried to come back one time, the same thing. So Midge kicked him out again. And then he was about 14. And there was another kid in the gym, a Hispanic kid named Restindo Robles. So, and he was knocking everybody out. And Brian McIntyre, who's Bud's trainer, and Saul, we fought, and Saul was Bud's trainer too. So we were together. We fought on the pro circuit together. We went around, and
Nice.
if I signed a fight, I would make sure those two got fights on the card. If they signed for a fight, they would make sure we got on the card. So we fought together, we traveled together, but we always trained the kids in the gym. So we had this Hispanic kid, Rosendo, and he could punch like a grown man. His dad was
Wow.
a wrestler, and so anyway, so that baited Bud to come back to the gym because he heard about this kid was so good. So he come back in, and the kid beat him up a couple of times, and Bud just kept coming back. And before long, he was they were neck and neck. And then as we kept going, he kept his discipline, and he pulled forward. And but we would always, so when I was done sparring or something, Midge, my trainer that passed away, he would say, "Hey, get the mitts. These guys need mitts." So that was our job, to hold the mitts for the amateurs and to work with them. And like if I sparred 10 rounds one day or 8 rounds one day, and then I was done where I couldn't go anymore, he said, "Okay, keep your gloves on. Rosendo, get in there." And I'd be like, what do you mean? So I was too tired to do anything. So I would work on my defense and moving, and I'd hit him with body shots, and they were just kids. So that's how they got so much experience in the ring. We worked so much, the pros worked so much with them.
Nice.
They were coming. So we went to 14 and then 18. And then he just would pick things up. And, we'd say, "Man, this kid's is going to be the best in the world someday." I mean, I've been telling people since he was 16 years old, this kid, if I could keep him out of prison and alive, he will be a world champion. And
Right.
sure enough, I don't think I realized to the extent it would be, but I knew he would be a world champion. I mean, he had the moves, he could switch. He would switch to southpaw, and they would stick me on him. And one day he hit me with a straight left, and I said, hold on a second. And I told Midge, I said, "Man, he hits harder. He just hit me so hard with that straight left. I felt it in my skull. Thank God I had my chin down there. He'd have knocked me out." He's only 17 years old, and
Wow.
I told him, I said, let's just quit harassing him about fighting southpaw and let him go. Because anytime he was fighting southpaw, someone was always saying, "Switch back. You got to fight the right way, the right hand first before you switch left handed." Or he'd tell me, "Put pressure on him, make him switch back." So then I'd put pressure on him and try, and he never would switch back, man. He was just stubborn. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how it all developed. But it was cool to be able to see it. And then once I retired, once I was done, I was done. I needed away from the gym for a while, so I pulled away, and then Bo and Saul continue to train him, and I always keep in touch with him. Like, I call him all the time, or he does. He has a lot of rental properties, and I have a contracting company, so I sited his mom's house, and we roof his houses and
Nice.
things like that. So we're still very, very close. But yeah, just no
That's
business. I
awesome.
don't want to do any business with you. We're just, other than the contracting.
I hear you. It was funny. His last fight in Omaha, I was going to Omaha. My wife and I were celebrating our 20th year anniversary, and we're like, let's get out of Sioux City. Let's go to this nice hotel downtown Omaha. Just get away for a while, some kind of low key. So we were at the Decca downtown.
Yeah.
My wife and I 20-year anniversary, romantic getaway. We're away from the gym, away from my day job. We're, just relaxing. Then all of a sudden we hear mitt work right next door in the next room. We're like, what the heck? I thought we got away from this. Well, it was Bud's fight the next night. So all the
Oh,
fighters were in our hotel. Even
right.
Cyborg's down there chilling in the lobby. And the guys, yeah, so it's like, man, we just can't get away from this thing. We walked right
That's,
into it.
yeah, that's a good one to walk into, though.
Yeah, well, it was fun for networking. We're down there to
Yeah.
breakfast with all the pro fighters and their
Oh yeah.
managers. Yeah, I'm just like a kid in the candy store, but I'm like, wait, this is my anniversary.
It's
Like,
my anniversary. Don't look.
yeah, it was cool. Well, man, you just got such awesome stories and histories. I know you're in a transition phase right now. You've been coaching at a gym, running a gym for a
Yeah.
long time. What's next for you?
Actually, I'm going to college right now to get
Uh,
my chemical dependency associate's
wow.
degree, and then I'll get a social worker's
Wow.
social work bachelor's. And of course, I wouldn't want to go on, but I uh, I own a transitional living house. So
Nice.
what we do is people on the way to prison or some people coming out of prison, we help them transition back into the free world. So we help them find employment. We help them find literacy if they need to. Um, we just help them out as much as we can. The ones that are willing. Some there's just it's hard to if they're not ready. Then sometimes the probation officers, maybe somebody's messed up and this is their last step before they go to prison. So
Wow.
we got them coming in and out. And we're at maximum capacity most of the time.
Wow.
So I have a business partner who is Marcus Polk. He is actually, I met him through Terrence Crawford and Red. So they called me.
Okay.
So they wanted me to meet somebody. So I meet him. He had moved here from Western Nebraska and he was a boxing trainer. And I was looking for a head boxing coach for the gym. This is back when we were a little more into that. It was a whole different time period. So I hired him, and then I heard him talking about the type of what he did for a living. He's a drug and alcohol counselor, and so that kind of intrigued me. So I say, hey, let me, what do I got to do to invest in you, and because I believed in him. So we bought the house, got it up and running, and then a couple years go by, and then I start hanging out here more, and just kind of fell in love with the whole deal. So his brother was actually the first black district judge in
Whoa.
in Nebraska, and his mom runs the
Awesome.
Indian Coalition. So
Okay.
he's already. I mean, he's awesome to be able to shadow and watch. And it's kind of cool because he would learn from me at the gym, and then I learned from him here.
Wow, that's
So
really cool.
yeah, and the
What an awesome
construction
thing to
business.
do to give back and help
Yeah.
people.
Oh, it's awesome, and it's tough too. It's tough, and it's real demanding and things, but I really enjoy it. And I have my construction business. It runs itself, so I kind of micromanage from the software
Right.
system, but for the most part, it just does its thing, and it gives me enough. It frees me up enough where I can be here and I can go to class. So it's
I'm not currently doing that type of work, I've done that type of work for a decade. And,
okay.
and yeah, I worked in locked psych facilities, and some were drug and
Okay.
alcohol units, and just
Yep.
helping people. Some were coming from prison, going to prison, um, and I I want to ask you a question because I know in my experience in that realm, my fighting, if you will, or my martial arts helped me because I could look at some rough, tough dude trying to intimidate me, who
Yep.
everybody else is scared of, and I
Yep.
could just look at him and go, "Look, dude," and I could just tell him the truth, not even.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I could be effective because they saw that, hey, there's one guy here that's not scared of me. They started respecting me, and then they allowed me to help them. How has
Yep.
your fight world helped you in that transitional living space?
Oh, it's great because I mean, they give me, we're, so it's helping a ton, man. And like our house now, we've got a lot of youngsters that nobody wanted to take in. We take everybody in. A lot of people fear or nervous of their charges and things, and we're not. Both of us are professional. We're professional athletes. Um, um, and they just they buy into us, so it helps us
For
help them
sure.
even more, so they know my stories. They see pictures. Anybody that comes here has a free membership at our gym while they're in our system. So a lot of guys go to the gym and work out, at different times. Sometimes no one does. Sometimes no one buys
Right.
it, and then sometimes everyone does. Oh, there you are. but it's yeah, it's just you get the respect, what I mean, then these other guys don't get, and
Yeah.
and the more they meet us and they know us, it's just it's a whole I think it's a whole different deal. I can't imagine not being who I am now and running it, just because I've got stories, I've got things for them to buy into. They buy into it. I've been through it all. I was in trouble when I was younger. You know, I've just I've been through a lot of things. Some of these guys have been through. I just had boxing to keep me on the straight and narrow once I hit a certain age. So
100%. And I think getting into something like boxing is so important for someone, transitioning, trying to just become a productive member of society, trying to
yeah,
get away from drugs and alcohol and gangs. Like when they can get their butt in the gym and there's so much anger, right? But you get to let that anger out in a positive way.
yeah,
You get to hit that bag, you get to hit someone else, you get to get punched in the face. And I think it's a weird thing. But like to me, and I know it works for these other guys, it's like our mental health therapy. Like
yeah,
when I get punched in the face, like
Mhm.
it makes me right for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like it like is releasing, that anger in me. It's like really
yeah,
good for anger management and give somebody a
great.
positive direction. Have you
Yeah.
seen that too? Getting some of these guys into boxing, helping them, you know, become reformed and get away from drugs and alcohol and stuff like that?
I haven't got anybody, like I said, the working out they do sometimes, but and my gym is so far away
Right.
from this part, but that's why I'm going to start
You got to
working
build
with
one in the house.
well, that's our next thing. We're looking for another house now, and we would build a small gym
That'd be
next to
awesome.
it. So then it
Yeah.
would be a little different,
Yeah.
But working out, like I tell these guys, the working out, the running, the get into something to get some of that negative energy off you.
For sure.
That's what saved. I think that's what saved me. So
Yeah. And then if two residents got beef with each other, you'd be like, hey, put
yeah,
on your mouthpiece and glove. Let's go to the
yeah.
ring.
Oh, yeah, we take them out. We'll take the guys out that that think they're tough and this and that. We'll go out. Hey, let's go work the mitts. Work the mitts with them, and they, you know how that is. They make it about a
Yeah.
minute. Like, oh my,
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
serious? You get that tired? I'm like, oh yeah, you get tired from this. And now you got to
Yeah.
figure out. We got 3 rounds. You said you want to do 3 rounds in the mitts, and you're tired after the first minute. So now you got to figure out how you're going to survive till the third
Yeah.
round. Hold these mitts, and then when they're done, they're like, wow, I got a whole new respect for boxers.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe there's a way I could help your guys. I'm helping a couple groups in town, Boost Go,
Okay.
Boost Reentry. There's similar programs where in my day job I'm doing a lot of like OSHA stuff. So I'm helping
Okay.
these guys get forklift certified, boom lift certified, scissor lift
Yep.
certified, OSHA 10, CPR certified, and then it makes them easier to get employment, because
Definitely.
some of these guys have a hard time getting employment with some of the records, but when employer sees, oh, but look at all these certifications, recent
Yep.
certifications, it helps them. So I do that kind of stuff. So if you ever need something like that, reach out. You're not far from me. So
Definitely.
yeah,
That'd be great.
then put them to work for your construction company.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day
Yeah.
and coming and telling your stories. I always love talking to you. I just love hearing them. And man, it's just so cool, and it's just been so fun. And I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this conversation because I got to see the other side of you. I didn't know about the
Yeah.
transitional living thing, and I didn't know about the construction company. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you got any final words to the audience? Just anything else you want everybody to know?
Nope. Just thanks for having me, and I guess just that's about it.
Yeah, and they can keep up with you on Facebook. I know you got a Facebook
Yeah.
account.
Yeah. I'm on
And
Facebook and Instagram and all that
cool.
good stuff. So
Yeah, Grover Wiley, everybody. Well, thank you, sir, so much. And until next time, everybody,
thank you.
stay safe.